If your thirst for the top action movies of all time is the disease, then I am the cure. What's up, guys? Back in my old stomping grounds. Feels like it's been a while. Kind of missed the place. But anyway, speaking of a while, it's also been a while since I've done a top 5 or a top 10. I think the last time I did one was for my top 10 Christmas movies, something like that. But recently, one of my older top 5 lists got a comment on there saying, hey, why don't you do more top 5 lists or top 10 lists? So I thought, hey, why not? You know what? I love top 10 lists. Who doesn't love top 10 lists? And what genre better suits top 10 lists than action? So I thought, you know what? Let's do my favorite top 10 action movies of all time with some honorable mentions. Now, I know my list isn't going to line up with your list. Please don't take offense to that. These are just my personal favorites. I'm not even sure if I have them in the correct order, but we're going to give it a try. So first off, I'm going to give you 3 honorable mentions, just real quick. First off, Rambo. The 4th Rambo. I've done a review for this one, and I had to mention this one in there because it's so different than the first 3 Rambos, and it is definitely the bloodiest. I mean, if you want balls to the wall action, then this is your Rambo. Number 12 is gonna be John Wick. Definitely John Wick. I was so glad that Keanu Reeves got back to his action roots and really just kicked ass in this movie. The hand-to-hand combat, even down to the way he fired the weapon, is just awesome in this movie. And it's really unmatched, especially over like the last 5-10 years. It is just a great action movie. And it's all in the name of a puppy. Okay, my last honorable mention, I'm gonna mention Lethal Weapon. And recently they just aired a trailer for a Lethal Weapon television series. It's gonna be on Fox, and it looks completely horrible. So I thought, hey, I gotta mention Lethal Weapon because the original Lethal Weapon is one of the greatest action films. And Mel Gibson as Riggs, nobody should be playing Riggs except Mel Gibson. He just nails that part. So definitely the first Lethal Weapon. Okay, here we go. Now we're gonna talk about the top 10. Like I said, this is Drumdums top 10. So what is a top 10 action list without Arnold? And I have to mention Commando. Commando is just so balls to the wall. It's completely preposterous. It's ridiculous. It's silly, but I love it. It's freaking amazing.
Now, somewhere, somehow, someone's gonna pay.
And it's got some of the greatest one-liners I think I've ever heard. Remember when I promised to kill you last, Sully? I lied. You want to get your daughter back? You're gonna cooperate, right? Wrong. And if you think Arnold's gonna make a few more appearances in this list, you are probably right. Number 9 is 300. And if you don't recognize this cover art, it's because my buddy Tim from the Late Reviews specifically designed this cover art and sent it to me. Thank you, Tim. But 300 is so unique. It's one of the best action films, I think, in the last 10 years. Give them nothing, but take from them everything. And I have never seen so many abs pack a TV screen in one frame. This movie just fits all of them, and it's glorious. But damn, I love this movie. 300 just looks beautiful. Zack Snyder really made his mark, I think, with this film, and it's just a pleasure to watch every time. It's just glorious. Okay, next up is gonna be Mad Max Fury Road. Now, I pondered on putting The Road Warrior on this list, but out of the 2 action movies, I mean, just balls to the wall action, I think Fury Road gets it. Even though I think Road Warrior might be a little bit of a better movie, I have to give, for action's sake, Fury Road. And Fury Road is really just it's 5 out of 5. It's freaking phenomenal. There's nothing I can tell you about Fury Road that you don't already know. I mean, everybody has reviewed it. Everybody has seen it. Everybody knows how great it is. So I'm not gonna waste your time, but just, you know, Fury Road. Okay, next up, we're gonna go into the science fiction realm. And if it's a science fiction movie, it's gotta be 90% action or somewhere around there. And it's definitely Aliens, the second one by James Cameron. It really is an action movie. It's definitely a science fiction movie too, but many people take note of the action in this movie. It's just one of the best action movies, I think, of the 80s. And it's nice to have a female-driven movie in this list because Ripley just kicks major ass. Get away from her, you bitch! Okay, number 6 on the list. One of my favorite action stars ever, Sylvester Stallone. I have to put Cobra on the list, and I do not have the Blu-ray of Cobra. What the hell is wrong with me? I think I have the DVD somewhere. I definitely need to get the Blu-ray though. That's bleed, pig! But Cobra is really just one of those action movies that you can watch it, laugh at it, make fun of it. It's kind of like Commando, but it's just so good. It's bad? No, let me do that again. It's so bad, it's good.
The court is civilized, isn't it, pig?
But I'm not. This is where the law stops, and I start.
It really is just a piece of bubble gum. It's a treat. And again, it has some of the best one-liners.
This is where the law stops, and I start.
Stallone talks his slowest, I think, in Cobra more than any other movie. And on a side note, they were actually gonna do a Cobra sequel. I don't know why the hell that didn't happen. I would have loved a Cobra sequel. Then Stallone would have had 3 big franchises. Well, I guess 4 if you count Expendables. Okay, number 5. We gotta throw some adventure in there, and what better than Indiana Jones, the first one, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Oh God, I love this movie so much. This is one of those I watch every single year, and you just have a blast watching it. It's a great time, and it's a really good story. But Harrison Ford really rides that fine line of action hero, but also not really bumbling idiot, but he has those moments where he knows, okay, I can't take this on, so I'm just gonna run, or I'm gonna pull my gun out and shoot the guy. And I love that scene in the movie where the guy challenges him to a sword fight, and behind the scenes, Harrison Ford had diarrhea, so he pulled out his gun and he shot the guy. Perfect. Okay, now we're getting down to the big kahunas. And if you thought number 4 was a Bruce Willis movie, then yippee-ki-yay, mother. Hell yeah, Die Hard. Die Hard, to me, is one of the greatest action movies ever. I love this movie so much. And what I love about it is it's that story of just the everyman. You and me could be in this movie. That's what's so great about it. I mean, yeah, he's a cop, so he's got cop training, but still, you could see yourself in his situation. Everything he does in this movie, for the most part, is believable. You know, it's not really over the top until he jumps out of the building at the end, I guess. But yeah, Die Hard. I mean, who doesn't love Die Hard? Okay, next up, number 3. I am such a Stallone fan, and Rambo First Blood, the very first Rambo movie, or First Blood, to me is just one of the greatest action movies ever. Stallone really is my number 1 guy, even though, well, we'll get to that, but Stallone really is my number 1 guy as far as action heroes go. I grew up with the guy, and I just relate to him. I think most people can relate to Stallone because he is the underdog. He always represents the underdog. But Rambo is another relatable character because he's just a guy. He's a loner.
You got someplace I can eat around here?
There's a diner about 30 miles up the highway.
Is there any law against me getting something here?
Yeah, me.
He doesn't like being around people. He just wants to be left alone. And then this cop just really gets in his face throughout most of the movie. And Rambo says, you know what? You have messed with the wrong guy. And that's what he does. That's what this whole movie is about. You have really screwed with the wrong guy. And now you and your freaking shitty little town are going to pay for it.
Are you telling me that 200 men against your boy is a no-win situation for us?
You send that many, don't forget one thing. A good supply of body bags.
That's why I love First Blood. Okay, number 2. These are the 2 big cojones. I really struggled between my number 2 and my number 1 because really they're both kind of number 1 to me. But we'll go ahead and say number 2 is Predator. God, I love Predator. It's just such a great movie. It's really the trifecta because you have the perfect villain in the Predator. You have the perfect hero, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, in the 80s, there was no one better in action than Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then he had this team of badasses with him. And it's just such a great movie. It turns into a horror movie, really, in the last third. And I just love Predator so much. It's just one of the greatest movies ever. Not just action movies, it's just one of the greatest movies. So how in the hell could this be number 2? What could be number 1? Sarah Connor, you guessed it. The first Terminator really is more of a science fiction type movie. It does have some action elements, but T2 is just balls to the wall. It is straight up action.
Hey, hey!
Get down.
Still to this day, it's unmatched. There is no action movie, in my opinion, that could ever touch T2. It's just on another level because it's not just a great action movie, but it's also just a great movie, a great story. And it's really just cutting edge, ahead of its time. And James Cameron really knows to find that balance between CGI and, you know, practical effects, because back then they really had limited use of CGI. But really, this is just such a great movie. It was an event movie, and I still watch it constantly. It's such a great movie. Terminator 2. All right, guys, that's it. That is my top 10 action movies. I really enjoyed doing this. I think I want to do this more often. So for my next one, I might do horror or comedy or something like that. Now, I've done underrated horror and underrated comedy, and I think that is one thing that kind of got out of hand with those videos. I got a lot of dislikes because people actually thought that those were my favorite horror movies when I really was just talking about underrated movies, in my opinion. But anyway, that's another story. Anyway, guys, I've rambled on enough. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to my channel, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, and Drumdum out.